Back again with Shot Recap. Let's break down Smile 2. After a year in rehab, a young pop star returns to the stage with a major tour. But instead of a triumphant comeback, she's haunted by terrifying visions, a mysterious smiling entity bent on revenge for the sins of her past. The story picks up 6 days after the ending of the first film. Police officer Joel, cursed after his girlfriend's death, tracks a target to a suburban house. When the owner returns, Joel puts on a mask and, ignoring a burning ghost, drags the man inside at gunpoint. Inside, it's a drug dealer's den. The captive's partner watches as Joel stabs his colleague to death, triggering a brief shootout. Wounded, Joel approaches the dealer, hoping he'll survive and take on the curse, but the man dies in his arms. Next, a small-time dealer named Lewis enters the house, unlucky to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Realizing he's caught the curse from what he saw, Joel heads for the exit. Outside, the rest of the gang arrives. The dealers give chase, but Joel barricades himself in a room, breaks out the air conditioner, and escapes through the window under a hail of stray bullets. However, once he reaches the road, his luck runs out, and he's hit by a car. The camera follows, rising above the road to reveal a bloodstain shaped like a smile. The story shifts to New York, where singer Sky appears on the Drew Barrymore show. After the car crash that killed her actor boyfriend Paul, she spent a year recovering from drug addiction and is now ready to return to the stage with a new act. After the show, Sky heads to rehearsal with her mother Elizabeth and assistant Josh, where she practices her concert routine with the backup dancers. During one move, her back pains flare up, a lasting effect from the accident. In the bathroom, she examines the scars left from the accident and plans to take some painkillers. But just as she pulls out the pills, a knock on the door makes her drop the capsules down the drain. Her mother knocks, ready to take her home. On the way, Sky texts her old classmate Lewis, who's secretly stocking up on Vicodin. Later, when she reaches Lewis, she's shocked by his paranoid, strange behavior. The dealer threatens her with a katana and doesn't even remember their messages. Lewis goes out to get Vicodin, leaving Sky alone in front of the TV, where a report about her and the recent accident is playing. He doesn't come back for a long time, so she goes to find him. Suddenly, Lewis bursts out screaming again, forgetting how she got there. His eyes fix on the ceiling, but there's nothing there. He starts yelling and coughing before suddenly stopping, losing his breath. Moments later, he comes back to life, but with a creepy, unnatural smile. Without taking his eyes off the terrified Sky, he stands up and reaches for a heavy weight plate. The dealer, still wearing that creepy smile, starts smashing his face with a weight plate like Nicolas Cage in Soul Collector. Only when his face turns into a bloody mess of flesh and bone does he fall dead. Shocked, Sky reaches for her phone, but remembers the drugs. A second body and drug traces would ruin her career, so, like a toilet paper roll, she simply disappears. Later at home, lying in bed, Sky notices Lewis in the dark, but it's all just her imagination running wild. The next day, while preparing for a photo shoot in the dressing room, producer Darius stops by. He invites Sky to perform at a charity event, asked to read a pre-written speech from a teleprompter. The singer, eager for publicity, happily agrees. While changing outfits, she gets a message from an unknown number asking if she was at Lewis's place yesterday. The reminder stirs her imagination once again. The girl hears a noise but sees no one in the room. Soon, she notices a bloodied Lewis reflected behind her. The dead man forces his fingers into her mouth, stretching her lips into an unnatural smile. Sky screams, and the vision fades. Later, she heads to concert rehearsal, where she's set to emerge from an opening capsule. Afterward, Sky signs autographs and takes photos with fans. Among them is a disturbed Alfredo, who security has to escort out. Next, a smiling girl with braces appears. She doesn't say a word and keeps staring at Sky, even during photos. Back home, a troubled Sky calls Gemma, her best friend she hasn't spoken to since their fight a year ago. Gemma invites her over. While passing time playing piano, Sky hears a bottle shatter. Cleaning up the shards, she spots a t-shirt on the floor, the same one she signed for Alfredo earlier. She also notices the fan's leftover clothes, including sweatpants stained from excitement. The fan stands at the end of the hallway. When he lunges forward, Sky runs to the door. Behind it is Gemma. The host returns to the room, but there's no sign of any intrusion. Even the bottle is still intact. It turns out more than an hour has passed since the call to her friend. Suspecting he's starting to hallucinate, Sky tells Gemma about Lewis's death and her visions. Gemma offers to stay the night to support her emotionally. At night, the singer dreams of the crash. Upon waking, she shares her fears with Gemma. Gemma says Sky deserves it and starts smiling strangely. As her face turns to light, headlights flash, and Sky falls off the bed. Suddenly, it's morning. Gemma has made coffee, but Sky is losing touch with reality and running late for rehearsal. She asks Gemma to come along, but Gemma has other plans. So Sky picks up her mother to remind her that about 100 people are waiting to start work. Arriving at the concert hall, Sky takes time to warm up and get in the zone. During a run-through of her routine, she imagines the floor giving way. She stumbles and falls, breaking her leg in the same spot as before, screaming in pain. But when the music stops, it turns out it was just a hallucination. Nervous, Sky blames the backup dancers, but the choreographer insists no one pushed her. Returning to the dressing room, the singer sees a smiling Joshua coming out. Inside, the place is a mess. Sky blames her assistant, but her mother confirms his alibi. He was with her the whole time. Realizing her mind is already on vacation and is about to leave, Sky asks to cancel all events so she can recover. But her controlling mother insists she pull herself together and keep working. Sky heads to the charity event. While waiting to go on, she gets a new message from an unknown number, saying they know about her secret sin. Swatting away a fly, Sky smudges her lipstick and steps onto the stage like that. She reads from the teleprompter, but when it freezes, she has to improvise. She talks about how success often drives young artists into drugs and alcohol to ease the stress of non-stop fame chasing. When Dario coughs and asks to change the subject, she notices the teleprompter is working again. Reading from it, she invites a guest onto the stage, her late boyfriend, Paul. Sky breaks down, convinced it's a cruel joke, but then she spots Paul himself at a table. Dressed in a dazzling white suit with a terrifying fake smile, he walks toward her. She closes her eyes, telling herself it's just a hallucination. That helps for a moment. But when the organizer tries to lead her away, Sky sees the dead man again and pushes the woman off the stage onto a table. Realizing things could spiral out of control, Sky goes into shock. Back home, she receives a message from a stranger claiming she's in serious danger, but he can help. The stranger suggests meeting at Real as proof, sending a video filmed by a guy who was also haunted by hallucinations. After watching it, Sky sees Lewis's ghost again and decides to accept the stranger's invitation. She arrives in Cabo, where a man named Morris awaits her. He works as a medic. While removing Lewis's body, Morris found his phone and, through the messages, tracked down Sky. He explains that she caught the parasite, a mental entity that takes over the host's mind with the goal of eventually killing them. The parasite spreads to anyone who witnesses the death of an infected person. Morris's brother once died from this curse. Now, Morris wants to save Sky by killing the parasite. His plan is to deliberately stop her heart, then revive her once the parasite leaves her body. But the singer finds such an intimate proposal from a stranger unacceptable. When people recognize her, Sky leaves the bar. Back home, she packs her things, ready to get as far away as possible. Grabbing her suitcase, she heads for the door, but runs into her entire backup dance crew in the hallway. They smile silently, as if they know a little furry creature has come for her. Terrified, she drops to the floor. The dancers move like weeping angels. Just a moment of looking away at the door and they creep closer. When Sky bolts for the exit, the smiling dancers chase after her. In the living room, an unpleasant surprise awaits her. More guests have arrived. They methodically surround her, crawling on all fours like quadrupeds. Her attempt to escape ends in failure. The singer is grabbed and roughly dragged around the room, her face slammed against the piano, hair pulled and hands shoved deep into her mouth. The story flashes back to a year earlier. Sky and Paul are driving in a car. Abuse of finely chopped cocaine leads to an argument. When Paul starts insulting her, Sky grabs the wheel and steers the car toward a cliff, ending in a fatal crash. She wakes up in a hospital room with her mother by her side. Her mother tells her she was found lying on the floor. Sky asks to cancel the concert, but her mother reminds her that would ruin her career for good. No one will give her a second or third chance. The conversation turns into an argument, ending with an infernal smile on her mother's face. Elizabeth shatters a mirror, then repeatedly stabs a shard into her throat and finally into her eye. In a panic, Sky rips out the IV and runs for the exit. Noticing a shard of glass in her hand. She's covered in her mother's blood she spilled in a hallucinatory frenzy. Pulling a hoodie over the blood-stained robe, the singer tries to slip past security and staff unnoticed. Joshua, her assistant, spots her and, seeing the blood, calls for medical help. Sky throws a tantrum to distract a guard and manages to grab his service weapon. Threatening with the gun, she escapes outside. Sky cuts her bare foot on a shard of glass on the asphalt and meets Gemma. Then, threatening with a gun, she hijacks a car. Her friend joins to help. Real-life GTA isn't an everyday thing. Wrapping her foot inside the car, Sky texts Morris for help and he sends an address. On the way, Sky gets a call from Gemma. Suspecting another hallucination, she answers, and she's right. The real friend only called after the message, but behind the wheel is another smiling demon. Closing her eyes, Sky tells herself it's not real and snaps back to reality in the driver's seat, almost causing a new crash. Sky rushes to the given address, an abandoned pizzeria with a working fridge. Morris explains this is essential for the plan to work. He leads her to a room and asks her to change into a hospital gown and lie on a table to cool down and slow her heartbeat. Then, the doctor will inject a drug into her neck to stop her heart, before reviving her with a defibrillator shock. As Morris steps out to give her privacy, Sky lies on the table and sees a vision of her accident self on the ceiling. The injured Sky falls from above, smashing the table. The parasite grabs its victim, trying to fully control her mind and stretch her mouth into a sinister smile. At the last second, Sky snaps back and bites the fingers. Grabbing a syringe, she injects herself, aiming to die, but it's a trick. There's no syringe in her hand. She tries to escape, but everything around her is controlled by the dark entity. The monster shoves Sky into a box, which turns out to be the familiar capsule. She appears on stage at the start of her concert. She sees the packed crowd and her live mother. Sky realizes the recent events were hallucinations, but even so, they aren't over yet. On stage before her appears a smiling doppelganger, the monster. The double tears open her costume, revealing a scar, which it rips apart with its fingers. From the hole in its stomach emerges a huge, bloody creature with a faint Lovecraftian vibe. The monster reaches for Sky, aiming to force its fingers into her mouth and stretch it into a smile. The audience sees the singer collapse on stage, but Sky immediately stands up, turning to them with a wide, unnatural, glued-on grin. She lifts the microphone, but instead of singing, she drives it through her eye socket into her head, right in front of thousands of witnesses. These onlookers then catch the deadly parasitic curse, turning the entity into a global threat to all humanity.